building's HEPA filtered. So when you walk into the lobby, the clinics, it doesn't matter. If you're, let's say, a really sick transplant patient and your immune system's been knocked down but good, you don't have to worry that you're going to breathe some bad bug in the building because we did the entire building that way.
In the midst of infections and airborne problems that happen, I'm from the alternative health world. Why aren't you using the essential oils that scientists know work? Why aren't you incorporating these types of issues in with something else?
For infection control?
With infection control, with the helping them with their breathing apparatuses, within their rooms themselves.
Well, I can't say if we're using oils because I'm not familiar with how they're cleaning the room specifically.
I'm not talking about necessarily just cleaning. I'm talking about using it within the room. I mean, I don't understand why they aren't using these type of things, incorporating them with all your drugs and your chemicals.
Well, we use some things in terms of, in my field of GI, we use a lot of different things in terms of supplements and things like that for food to change the gut flora around to keep you from getting infections such as Clostridium difficile. We use that one frequently. That'd probably be the biggest area that we probably use it with. Yes?
I had a fascinating conversation with a gentleman who works on safety, and you brought up some interesting issues about having a family member there. Can you explain a little bit? It seems to me, my interpretation, that there's a different culture about addressing mistakes than we sometimes as non-healthcare providers appreciate and understand it. And I think it was very healthy what I heard. I hope I'm not asking a dangerous question.
No, we've kind of been national leaders in that and gotten a lot of press for it, which is if we make a mistake, and we hate to think that we do, but we know we do. But when we do make a mistake, what should our response be? And what we've said is that the right thing to do, forget about what the lawyers tell you to do, but what the right thing to do is to go in and tell the family you've made the mistake, how it happened. Some of the families that sit on our patient safety committees are ones where we've made a mistake with a family member, and they've become motivated to help us try and fix them. So we'll go in, we tell you right up front we made the mistake. Sometimes the families are interested in pursuing legal, they want to sue us, and we say, fine, you should get a lawyer. Sometimes we even give them names of plaintiffs' attorneys. The good part about that is that if we admit to it, we stop all the other legal wrangling around where we try and cover up or not say anything to the family or withhold information. We tell you everything. And then that cuts down a lot of the legal costs. You don't have to hire expert witnesses. We say we made it. The only question is what should the right amount be for that? And that's what we end up talking about. And it comes down to medical students. I had a liver transplant patient in the hospital last fall. He had developed an abscess near the liver. And we'd sent the child down to interventional radiology to put a needle in it because we were having a hard time fixing this abscess, this pile of pus that was sitting there. And we'd hoped by draining it would help heal the abscess, but we also hoped that we might be able to identify an organism so we knew what antibiotic to give. Well, the people in interventional radiology sent the specimen off to the laboratory in the wrong juice, and we couldn't get the bug. They sterilized it, and the micro lab couldn't do anything with it. So the medical student comes to me, he says, Dr. Dickinson, we're getting ready to go on rounds. And we always do family-centered rounds. We do it in the room, at the bedside, entire team there. And he says, did you hear about that? And I said, yeah, I saw that result. And he says, well, what do you think we should do? And I said, well, what do you mean? Well, should we tell the family that, we could just tell the family that the lab doesn't have a result yet or that they couldn't find something. And I said, well, we're getting ready to walk down. He was going to have to present this information. I says, you have a real moral dilemma, don't you? And he started getting real nervous, and we got close to the door. And then I had to say, I said, what would your dad tell you to do? He says, well, tell the truth. And I said, well, why wouldn't you do that here? And so that's what we did. And I asked, and then I told him, I said, look, that's my job as the old guy to bring bad news to the family. That's not your job as the student, I'll tell him. And we told the family what happened. No, mom was not happy. She shouldn't have been happy that we screwed that up. But and she would have never known had we not told her, but, you know, it's just wrong to have the rest of the team always walking around, ooh, 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 ooh. Can we say that or not?
But I think the really good part about that too is that when you recognize those things, that's when we grow as individuals.
Absolutely.
Say, you know, you've got as much gray hair as I used to have. And you know, the reason that we continue to grow, gray hair or not, is because we make mistakes and we hopefully learn from them. And I think that's probably more. I do appreciate the honesty more than anything, but I also think it's the follow-up, which I also think you're very well recognized for.
Yeah, I mean, the follow-up is important because if you create that culture where everybody's free to talk about mistakes rather than, oh, we don't want to talk about them because we're afraid what the lawyers might tell us, then that allows us to actually find out what might be happening. As the executive director of the hospital, I don't know what goes on it every night on every ward. I mean, I still see patients, I get out and do it, but there's stuff, you know, and I love it when some nurse grabs me by the sleeve and says, Dr. Dickinson, you told me you were going to fix this. And she drags me into a medication room and says, look at this, right? That's what I want. But if she was worried that we might get sued over it, she might not do that. And we want to create that culture where everybody who sees something they don't like, it just speaks up. Okay.
On behalf of the Wolverine Caucus, I want to thank both of you immensely. Please join me in thanking our speakers. And we have a token of our sincere appreciation. These are Wolverine Caucus pens. These are 14 karat gold, specially engraved Wolverine Caucus pens as a show of our sincere thanks for you coming today.
Thank you.
And I hope that all of you have a wonderful summer as we reflect on the new Mott and all that it means to the state of Michigan and to this region and to this nation, actually. This is a model of what healthcare looks like into the future, where they think about smart ways for people to go into a facility feeling bad and come out feeling better. And so thank you for all that you've done to create such a wonderful healing opportunity for everyone in the state of Michigan. I hope that you will join us again for the Wolverine Caucus in September, when we'll be talking about elections 2012, and that will be on Tuesday, September 18th. So we will be in touch with you then, and have a wonderful summer.
You know, you love danger. You drink that grape juice with that white out. I mean, you are a great
You know, if anybody else wants to come down and see what it's about, specific
I'd like to shake your hand, Doctor.
Well, thank you.
Because I have had a hard time with a lot of MDs with that idea. But I love the idea of you telling the truth, and I like that.
Well, it's the only way to do it, and it's so much easier. You know what happens to our medical malpractice costs? We pay 1/3 of what it would
Little
pay.
truth goes a long way.
Yeah. I mean, like,
That's
I had a medication and a patient line. And it didn't harm the child, but along the hospitalization. So then people reported it to me.
for instance,
She should, right?
because they come there.
You had people like me where it go down that much more.
Maybe even, probably.
Because I know people like me can bring blood pressures down, algebra, all that kind of stuff would be, you'd cut millions off of your costs. So anyway, I
Well,
don't. Ask her, my mouth doesn't, I don't have a machine gun.
we use our child life workers, but just that recently, we actually hired a couple new ones to put in radiology.
I did look at the ancestors, do you know the ancestors? Well, this is the one I looked at, in 3,000. I should have bought them because I didn't realize, you know, I go in, I figure it's like, here, it's a car.
Oh,
Right.
Mike, do you have a shot?
I never got to think you would give me this.
She got me to present and I went through it complimentary.
Okay.
We're on the bus, let's see. All right, it was a pleasure. Well,
I knew you. I kept looking at him, and I go, Chapts.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
I used to work at Wayne County General Hospital.
Oh, so did I.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
so
because
you
it
know.
was part of you, remember the time?
Yeah,
I used to
right,
work in the
yeah, it
emergency
was,
room there, yeah,
yeah.
when I first started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I miss it, but I'm telling you, see, I know firsthand, yeah, but I know firsthand how great a lot of the physicians and staff.